Alright, peace, God.
Peace, God.
Yeah, God, it's been a minute since last time we had it on. That was 2016, 2017, I think it was 2016. You know what I'm saying? So a lot has happened since then. You know, but I want to go back to like the foundation and you know, deal with your history. How you came up in Medina. Right. Well, you and I, we share a little bit of history. Well, we share some of the same history, which in terms of like going to the same junior high school. You went to Bildersee. I went to Bildersee. I went to Bildersee in 1989, 89 to 92.
Yeah, I went in the 60s, dog.
You was in the 60s, yeah.
Right. You know?
Yeah. What was that time period like, dog?
Man, that shit was rough, man. That's when they first passed the Civil Rights Bill and all that type of shit. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? You know? And like my whole wife, I guess she thought it would be better me having an advantage going to school with the Caucasian people. You know?
So this is before that. That integration wasn't even legal back that time.
Right.
Wow.
That's when that shit really started. 1960s, 1964, you know, 1965, that's when all that shit just came into being. You know, my old wife thought she was doing me justice, sending me
to school with the Caucasian.
Right, yeah, but that was the worst year of my life, as far as school-wise and shit like that.
And what grade? Well, how old were you at the time? Like knowledge, culture, knowledge, understanding?
Yeah, like knowledge, understanding, shit like. So I got bust out from Marcus. That's in Brownsville, right? I would have been in 8T1, the talent class. I would have got an instrument, you know what I'm saying? And everybody played an instrument, and they had French. But when I got shipped out to Canarsie, my class, I was in 7-6, right?
So they put you back?
Yeah, really. They wasn't knocking none of their people out the box for me to get in, you know? So I was in 7-6 and I had Spanish. I didn't get no instrument, nothing like that, none of the special stuff that I would have got had I went to Bildersee. Or had I not went to
Bildersee. Right.
Yeah, it was like that. And you know, it was rough because you never knew how things was gonna be at the end of the day. Like, usually when you go to school, if you got a problem with somebody, then you could say like, 3 o'clock, you know, we're gonna handle this 3 o'clock. We couldn't do that shit at 3 o'clock. Cause we had white people who deal with it 3 o'clock. We had to get back to Brownsville.
So you saying like, so when you had an issue like with your air lights or something, or with your people, you couldn't say 3 o'clock. You had to.
Right. Nah.
You couldn't deal with your own. You can't fight your own act, basically.
Oh no, man. It was like now or in. We gonna do this shit now or forget this bullshit. Cause we had the white people. You know, and the ones that was in school with us, they had like, fathers, stepfathers, older brothers, uncles, all that type of shit. And them motherfuckers had cars, motorcycles, guns, bats, chains, all kind of shit, God. Right. So that's what we had to deal with at 3 o'clock. We had to get back to Brownsville. They wouldn't come across Leonard Boulevard, because the ones that did, they never made it back.
So, because on Bildersee is on Flatlands Avenue, right? So you basically, when you got out of school, you had to travel down Flatlands Avenue to get back to Linden Boulevard, all the way down. It's kind of like a little bit of a trek there. Unless you was taking the bus.
Rockaway Parkway.
Rockaway Parkway.
Avenue.
Rockaway Parkway, right. Yeah.
Across Linden Boulevard, you good.
Right. So you're saying you get to Rockaway Parkway, then you make that left.
Yeah, that tip.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, going up, right? Yeah, that must have been it must have been a real journey though, like.
Hell yeah, man.
Mm.
But that's what we had to go through, you know?
Mm.
And that threw my whole shit off out of school, you know? I would have been playing an instrument had I stayed in Marcus, you know? I wouldn't have had, man, they ain't want me back in Bildersea.
So you was there for like, well, how long you was in Bildersea for?
For a year.
For a year.
Yeah, for 7th grade. They asked me to leave, never to return.
What was the reason they asked you to leave though?
Because I was always a problem with them white boys. Really throwing down right in the hallway. You know, with them white boys. They were so rude and disrespectful at that time, you know. You couldn't let that shit go, you know.
That was a quality sight for years.
Yeah.
And this is right before you got the knowledge. What year you got the knowledge?
1966.
1966. So what was that time period like, and how did the knowledge come to you?
Oh man, shit, I went to it because the knowledge had came to Brownsville, you know.
That's where you was at. You was in
Yeah, I
Brownsville.
was in Brownsville. But I bypassed it because of the brothers that got the knowledge. I ain't really particularly, you know, like
Mess with
along
those dudes, right?
with all of them. You know what I'm saying? And the brothers is like the Three Musketeers, you know, like multiplied.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? One for all and all for one, that type of shit. So if I had a problem with a brother, then, you know, chances are I couldn't just, you know, deal with him and that be it. You know what I'm saying? I have to deal with the other brothers, either one by one or all at once. You know what I'm saying? That's how it was with the brothers. So I ain't messed with him because it was a brother that I never got along with. He tried to rob me first day of school when I moved to Brownsville. You know what I'm saying? And when he got knowledge, that really ain't really impressed me. You know what I'm saying? And I didn't want to be around the brothers he was with just because they was the brothers, you know. That's how it would go down. So I got the knowledge in East New York.
Okay.
Because it was the truth with a different, you know.
Okay, so it was
down
busy.
in the arrangement, you know.
Okay. So how was that time? How did you get to East New York from Brownsville? Like, what was you had peoples in East New York?
Well, I went to Jeff.
You went to Jeff?
Yes.
That's at the school.
Yes, Thomas Jefferson.
Thomas Jefferson. Okay, that's the high school over there.
Right, yeah. So I was going out there even before I went there, you know what I'm saying, to see what the shit was, you know?
Right.
But I ran to the brothers and, you know, bear with it was the truth, you know, how they dropped it, you know? And when they broke, I stuck with the brothers, you know what I'm saying? And that's just how it was. After a while, I got comfortable. I said to the brother, like, yo, let me see. He had the Book of Life, and he clipped that shit. And he said, in order to look into the Book of Life, you must first be a student enrolled. I said, how I do that? He said, by learning the supreme mathematics and the supreme alphabet. So I'm saying, bet, come on, let me get that. That's how that went down.
And the brother gave it to you. He gave you supreme mathematics and
And
alphabet.
supreme alphabet, that's right.
What was his name?
His name is Amor.
Amar. Okay, that's the brother who gave you 120, or the brother who sparked you up?
Yeah, that's the brother who started me in the lesson.
Started with the lessons.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Shit, life go on, you know, as things went on, you know, each one must, you know, seek and strive for what he don't have, you know what I'm saying? So I be around the guards, you know. We change lessons, you know, and all that, you know. If we find out somebody had something that we ain't have, we'll go find them. You know what I'm saying? So we can get that knowledge.
So at that time, the lessons it wasn't given in that particular, in that order, or was it? Was it like, did you get like the student enrollment, 1 to 36, 1 to 14, or 1?
Nah, see, the student enrollment, like I said, the brother said, in order to look in the book of life, you must first be a student enrolled. How you do that? You learn supreme mathematics and supreme alphabets. That's how it goes. Supreme mathematics, supreme alphabets. Then you become a student enrolled into the teachings, 1 to 10. You know what I'm saying? Then, it said that this lesson must be learned 100% right and exact before admittance to said lesson number 1. Right. That is the 1 to 14.
Okay,
lesson
so now,
number 1.
so right after the 110 going to 114.
Right. Lesson number 1. You know what I'm saying, God? Not C, lesson C, lesson number 1. And then don't nothing come between knowledge and wisdom. So after Lord found Muslim lesson number 1, ain't nothing else in between that shit. It's number 2.
Okay. Then you got to the 1 to 36, you saying?
Then English C lesson.
English C lesson. Right, okay.
You know what I'm saying? After you get the knowledge and wisdom, then you get the English C lesson, number 1. And that's the 1 to 36. Well, brothers was giving the 1 to 36 out first, so if they was teaching somebody, it'd be like they seeds had a whole bunch of extra degrees. Like how many degrees you know? You know what I'm saying? That's 36 one fucking liners. That shit is like,
Yeah, no, it's interesting. I mean, because like how I originally got it was like, I got my supreme mathematics and my supreme alphabets. Became a student enrolled, got my student enrollment, 1 to 10. Then in the book of life that I was reading was the 1 to 36, then the 1 to 14, then the 1 to 40, and actual facts, solar facts, But then, it's recently I started hearing this order that you telling me, I'm starting to hear that more recently now. That was something that was kind of like different to me. You know what I'm saying?
I'll tell you, brothers was given the 1 to 36, so they student would have that many more lessons, automatically. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I remember when that shit first started, happening.
So you was seeing it.
Yeah.
You were seeing brothers. You started seeing brothers having the 1 to 36 before the 1 to 14 at one time.
Yeah, right.
What do you remember what time period?
That's how they would get so many fucking degrees, and they ain't been a piece of no meat or nothing.
Do you remember what year that was? When that started happening?
Yeah, that shit was in the mid-60s.
Mid 60s. So like around the same time you got now, it was all like around.
Yeah, right.
But I know also I don't know about that time, but in quiet cycles, but there was a time period that brothers were studying a lot of plus degrees.
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Can you add on about that? When brothers started adding on different degrees and whatnot.
Well, see what happened is when Allah was in Madawan, there was brothers that was in there with him that was writing degrees. You know what I'm saying? And they would let Allah look at it to, see if they was writing exact. And he said it was right. You know what I'm saying? So, brothers was, going through the degrees. It was like Allah will manifest, Allah 360.
Right, I heard those things. Sex control.
Yeah, sex control, manifestation of the mind. It was a bunch of them, man. Yeah, the lessons was right. But, man, brothers couldn't come together, in conversation, because they was in different directions. One brother in manifestation of the mind, another brother in law 360. So we started dealing with the 120,
120 was the foundation.
The 10th degree in the student enrollment.
Right,
you know what I'm saying?
Right.
So we could come together, and the degrees, instead of always saying something different, you know what I'm saying? Brothers not being able to come together at the right angle, you know. So, you know, we start dealing with the degrees so that we can communicate with brothers, you know what I'm saying? Instead of them going and, you know.
Into the manifestation of the mind, into sex control,
right.
Or, you know, 360.
Yeah. And they wouldn't even be in the same degree, they'd be in another degree, you know, but, you know, communicating. So we had to bring it together where brothers, you know, came together and, you know, spoke the same language, you know what I'm saying?
I mean, did Allah actually say to leave the plus 3 degrees alone?
Yes.
He did say that.
Yeah,
Leave them alone.
Yeah, he did say that.
Okay. Do you recall that time period though when that happened?
That shit was like, and that degrees like to like going to the late 60s and shit like that. You know, because brothers had to come, you know, together and start speaking, you know, and communicating, because they wasn't communicating in a different degrees like that, you know what I'm saying?
It was more like they were clashing.
Yeah.
Clashing with those degrees.
Yeah.
So, because what I understand from what I was taught is that, you know, Allah came home. He came home from Babylon. That's when he was like, you know, leave all that alone, you know. But he actually, what I was just saying, he heard say, burn. You know what I'm saying? But he didn't necessarily mean like literally burn them, like put them in your mind.
Who he was saying that to, that's who he meant. That's
right, whoever he was saying that to, right.
He wasn't saying for the whole nation to go, you know.
Yeah. So certain individuals got it a certain way and started teaching and saying that this is how it was and this is how the man said it, but you're saying that he didn't tell everybody that. He didn't say for the whole nation.
No. My father told some brothers to go into Mars. You know what I'm saying? He ain't tell.
It was more than one person that he told to go to Mars.
Yeah, more than one went. You know, like Ibika, Rasul, he went into Mars. I know another brother named Jamal from East New York. He's the one who taught Monique, who they call the.
Yeah, you're right.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Right. Jamal is the one who gave him knowledge. He used to call him midget before the knowledge. Gangbanging and shit. You know? And yeah, that's how it was. Some brothers needed that discipline. You know?
Right. So what do you think? You think see that brothers needed discipline, but then some brothers, you know, they was strong enough to just hold it on their own. Get the knowledge, have the knowledge on it, without that structure of the mosque.
Yeah. But if the father knew he could, you know, save a brother going through different bullshit, you know what I'm saying? Works against the teachings and, you know, all kind of shit. Send him in that direction, you know. That's what he would do.
So I mean, what would you say about because at that time, like, you know,
he ain't just make an announcement for everybody.
I mean, did he make an announcement for everybody to change their name? From Muslim names to...
Oh, hell yeah. Oh yeah, that was a fact.
Right. So certain things he said for everybody and certain things he was saying for certain individuals.
Well, you know, certain things like changing your name, you know, like that, you know, that was something he wanted for the nation. You know, certain shit like, you know, he told brother, you know, he give them what they needed, you know what I'm saying? It's about, you know, like, you know, brothers went through a whole lot of shit, you know. Sometimes he seen where they could avoid a lot of shit. If like a stimulation was, you know, brother's problem, then that'd be a good direction for them to go in. Because they wouldn't even be tempted, you know, by the brothers that they fuck with. But Papa wasn't against it. He wanted us to go everywhere where everybody was so we could teach them.
So he wasn't against what?
You know what I'm saying? He wasn't against, he ain't say don't do it. You know, he ain't tell us not to do it. He let us know, you know, certain things we had to do to get places we need to be. You know what I'm saying? And he let us know, man, certain shit you better know what you're going into, because certain things you don't walk out of that easy.
Right. I mean, when was the first time you actually encountered Allah?
When he called the parliament when he came home from out of Nanawha. You know, he called the parliament. He came home.
That was in April.
In March.
In March.
But he called the parliament for April.
Okay, April, right.
Right,
April.
Sunday.
April 67.
Exactly.
Do you remember that, you know, with that parliament and what he was saying at that parliament?
Yeah, we're talking about the prodigal son.
Add on about that. Yeah, I remember you told me about that before, about the prodigal son.
Yeah, about how the prodigal son would return home, become head of the household. You know, and he started telling about how, you know, a king, you know, he had land and, you know, he had a couple of sons. One of his sons wanted to take his inheritance and go off and, you know,
Do his own thing.
he'd do his thing, right? The other son stayed with him. So, you know, that's how it went down. And the son that left, you know, he dealt with all kinds of shit. Whiskey, wild woman, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, you know.
He lost it all, basically.
Right, yeah. And he was like, you know, going around doing, he recognized, he said, damn, this is my father's land. He said, damn. He said, in my father's land, even the servants, they live good, better than how I've been living. I want to go beg my father, could I be a servant? Yeah, you know? So when he went, and his father seen him, he told his son, he said, yo, kill the fattest sheep. My son is home. How the other son was saying, nah, he fucked up everything. I've been here with you all the time. You never gave a party for me. But the father said, man, that's my son that was lost in the wilderness, and now he home. We're gonna rejoice, you know? He said, yo, he left, man. He took everything.
That's the son, the person, one son that stayed with him said this, right? Yeah.
You know, I've been here all the time. You ain't never had no peace for me. He said, this is my son that was lost in the wilderness, and now he's found. He was dead, now he's alive, and we're gonna rejoice forevermore. When he said, this is my father's land, he stumbled up, you know, whiskey, women, he fucked up everything, right? He said, this is my father's land. He said, damn, I'm gonna ask my father if I could be a servant, you know, here, because the servants live better than I've been living. But when he seen his father, when he approached him, he ain't had to be no servant, you know what I'm saying? Well, man, it's my son, I'm welcome, you know? So, you know, that's how the shit went down.
Right.
You know?
But I remember you was adding on that you was saying that's to say, like, you know, brothers who kind of strayed away from this, you know, they always welcome back no matter what.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Right. You ain't gotta hang out with them.
Right.
But you can't block him from this. You know? He told us that, you know, basically that you can't shut the door on nobody. If your brother leave from this here, you know, and anytime he come back, he welcome. You ain't gotta hang out with him or no shit like that. But you can't shut the door like he ain't welcome. You know what I'm saying, God?
Yeah, that's a tough lesson though. That's a tough lesson. You see brothers that, you know, stray away from this and, you know, like one who might have went savage or
Don't fuck with him.
Don't fuck with him. But just don't block him either.
Right. You know? So, you know, anybody that come back to this, right, you know, especially if they got something to add on, and then they can come on. They welcome.
I mean, don't block him from this, but you can block him from your own self. Like, I ain't got to do that.
That's how you exile somebody. You don't try to get everybody to fucking think what you think. If they don't think what you think, they might fuck with them. You know what I'm saying? I don't fuck with people who fuck with people. I'm gonna fuck with it. You know?
So
That shit is a hard one, you know?
that is hard. That is a hard one. That is hard.
Yeah, that's a hard one.
Like during that time, God, you know, the flag. We didn't have the flag until Shamgar produced it in '67.
Our flag was the Star and Crescent.
Right, of the the Nation of Islam.
Right.
You know, the Muslims might have said like, okay, the 5% is do this, or the 5% is right when Muslims do this, or you know how they interacted with each other.
Right. You know, we just tell them the truth because we not Muslim. So whatever they got to say, you know what I'm saying, come on with it. You know what I'm saying? What we drink and smoke, yeah, that's how we go amongst the people that drink and smoke. And we get them to turn toward Islam. You know what I'm saying? That's how we do it, because y'all would never get them from your perspective. You know what I'm saying? We
By
go
being
amongst
clean
the
cut
people.
and all that.
Yeah, we go amongst the people as the people. And you let them know that they got the right, the freedom of choice. You know what I'm saying? Let them know why brothers do that shit. You know what I'm saying? They can do it too. You know? They know what happened when they deal with certain worlds. So if they want that shit to happen, that's all they gotta do is deal with that world. You know? Like a person know if he sniffs some dope, where that's gonna take him. If he don't wanna go there, then he wouldn't sniff no motherfucking dope. You know what I'm saying?
If he don't want to go there.
Right.
Because sometimes he want to go there.
You know what I'm saying? That's what he's gonna do. You know what I'm saying? If he wanted to motherfucking do something else, he might sniff something else. You know? The Father ain't tell us not to do it. You know? Yeah, he wasn't advocating that shit, but he ain't tell us not to do it.
So that's just something. See, that's something that we gotta be careful with, because you're saying he didn't advocate it, but he didn't tell you not to do it. So that was
Right, like you wasn't right if you did what people do. You know, different show for different folks. You know what I'm saying? He wasn't trying to make us all be in his fucking image. You know? That's why he told brothers get their own fucking name. You know what I'm saying?
Get your own name.
Yeah.
And do your own thing.
Right.
But here's a guy, but he was giving the principle like this, you know, supreme mathematics and, you know, 120 lessons. That was a guideline for you to kind of create your own stuff.
Show him who beyond a shadow of a doubt, who he was, that he was the God, for real. You know? And he gave us a choice of how we want to be.
Have you built with the God outside outside of that first parliament?
Yeah.
Yeah. You tell a little bit of them experiences.
Yeah, I was down in the hole in the basement where he shot dice.
Well, how old were you around that time?
Like knowledge equality.
Knowledge equality.
Yeah.
So they let you down there. You was able to get down there at that
I
time.
had no problem. Plus the brothers that I was with, you know, the father knew, you know, who they were. So I had no problem. You know, maybe somebody that around the block would probably chase their ass up out of there. You know, because when we was down in the basement, brothers, you know, would come through and the father would tell them, go on into school. Allah in there. You know, and we'd be in the basement, you know, with the father. We come from Medina to see him, you know.
Well, I add on about that, traveling from Medina to see Allah. You know, what was, you know, how did that work? Bro was just like, yo, we're gonna all go see Allah. Or, you know, how did that happen?
All right, well, you know, whoever, you know, decided that's what they wanted to do, you know. Like, you know, God might say, yeah, I'm gonna go to Mecca and see my old earth, and I'm gonna go by and see the Father. You know? You like, yo, I'm gonna roll too, man. I'm gonna go see Allah. You know?
You remember the time period when we first got to school? You know what I'm saying? What was the school like? Because I know I was just asking, you know, like the different phases of the school, like civilization classes. From what I understand, like I asked the question like who was really starting the first civilization class. For what I was told that it was Colleen that came up with the idea of having civilization classes at a law school. But before that, you know, there really wasn't civilization classes.
Just teach, man.
Brothers just be there teaching. It wasn't like no formal thing.
No, brothers just teach. And he telling the truth ain't what anybody else got to say. You know.
So the history of the classes actually started around the time, like when I got there, which was like in the born ciphers. But before that, this just was.
You know, it's always, you know, brothers coming and somebody be, you know, building, dropping, you know what I'm saying, at a different time.
Right.
But, you know, back in that time, it wasn't a lot of recording and shit like that.
Yeah, that too, right. Yeah.
So, you know, you just had to catch that part, you know?
Yeah. But God, what about the, because I know you've seen a lot of different times, like the equality ciphers, the God ciphers, the Bill ciphers, the board. You've seen the changes through the time, like from your perspective. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I've been around, pal.
Yeah, from your perspective, God, like what would you say the changes were from the equality ciphers going into the God ciphers?
Shit. It was, man, growth in some degrees and in other degrees it shit was just like dead.
A little dead, huh?
Yeah. I mean, shit, everything is different, man. Even getting locked up in motherfucking prisons and the motherfucking jail is different now. Because the guards used to be in there dominating force and shit. You know? It ain't the same no more. They had events where people used to come, you know, to see their family that was locked up. That would usually be guards in positions of power to make sure, you know, everything went back in inside and that the population was dealt with right inside, you know? Yeah, man, it's a lot of shit different now, man. Like, they definitely knew who we were at that damn time, you know? Well, a lot more they got no idea nowadays, you know? But we just gotta give it to the babies, man, so they can deliver it onto their peers. Yeah, that's how the shit gotta go by, you know? Wanted us to teach, man, you know? Now you can go so many places, man, people ain't even got a clue about the knowledge of who we is, you know? It's like how I wear my flag, you know? I see who recognize that, you know?
I mean, but see, like in the God cipher years, wearing a flag, a lot of people recognize it. At what point did you say their brothers stopped really recognizing it?
That's, you know, time went on, man, you know. The people didn't have the same, you know, exposure to the fucking truth, man, you know?
I mean, what do you think that was due to? You think that was due to the media, or what, you know, brothers started doing something else? What you think it was?
The teachings, you know, changed as far as, you know, how brothers was advocating, man. One time brothers used to be out on the corners and teaching, you know? Things just got different, man. At one time, man, we made sure all the babies had the opportunity to get the knowledge, you know? as time went on, you know, things are different, man. Everybody not doing the same thing like it was back in those days. You know? Time bring about changes, God.
Mm-hmm. Well, God, let me ask you about those, going back to like those plus degrees and stuff. I used to always see the name on some of the degrees, Armando X.
Yeah, that's a brother who wrote the degree, God.
That's one of them.
Another one with Allah. Yeah, it was brothers that Allah messed with from in Harlem. You know what I'm saying? The brothers that was in the mosque and they used to work out and train together with the martial arts. You know what I'm saying? They used to be on 129th Street. That's where Allah's sister lived on 129th Street.
That's Bernice. Bernice?
Yeah. Yeah, I God lived on 129th Street. Lord Just lived on 129th Street. My man got a call. Most of the Harlem Six live on 129th Street. Prince, he didn't live on 129th Street, but our God was his physical cousin. So he used to be around there. You know? That's how they came in contact with the father in the beginning.
You say so like Armando X used to write these degrees and he was like one of those brothers who would be amongst Allah and ask him.
Yeah, working out with him and shit.
Right.
You know?
And he was like
and they was all locked up together. You know? And Azrael.
Azrael was right, Azrael, because I know that story about Azrael being in Babylon with the father.
Right. And you know, saying that he wrote the degrees. Yeah, he wrote them down because he had the best handwriting.
Azrael had the best handwriting.
Yeah. So he wrote the degrees down. He put them on paper. You know what I'm saying?
So Allah kind of dictated to him.
Oh, the brothers Armando and them.
Armando and them all. So he was amongst Armando and them. Right.
Yeah, they was all locked up together, you know. And Allah was there too, you know.
What about the history of Robert Walker?
Because what?
I mean, was he somebody? Because I know that he started dealing with. What is it? Was the firstborn Muslims or whatnot?
Yeah. All that there. Yeah, but he come from around the brothers. You know?
So he was somebody who was amongst Allah and was getting it. And
just like the brothers. You know? And he was locked up with Allah. And anytime, you know, you with the father in an environment like that, then you gonna get it, you know, like in magnitude and shit. You know?
Yeah, no, it's just think about that time period and you know the history of those brothers, you know, because you hear different remnants of their name nowadays.
That brother was swift with his wisdom, God. He was swift. You know who reminded me of him? Duma. Yeah.
Okay, so he kind of like had the degrees on cap and everything like that.
Yeah. And they used to run together too back in the day.
Duma and Robert Walker?
Right.
Yeah.
They used to be around Umar. I think Umar was teaching them in the beginning.
Umar was teaching Robert Walker?
Yeah. God Supreme talked about that in the video he did for a couple of hours.
Right, okay.
He goes through that history.
You ever met Robert Walker?
Yeah, I've seen him.
You seen him, but you didn't really.
Not like that. The brothers wanted to do something to him at that point in time. You know?
Because he was saying what he was saying.
Because all the history that they probably didn't agree with or whatever, you know? And they wanted to do something to him right there on 127th Street. Well, Kyle Lehman came by and said, don't leave your garbage here, you know?
Just don't leave your garbage here.
Yeah. Yeah, it was right on a heavy chopping block, you know what I'm saying? Brother wanted to do something, but it was decided, you know, best to leave that shit alone.
What about the other, because it was other brothers, like I said, I'm asking about these history, because you know more than I would know, you know, from like the Mondo X, the Robert Walkers, Katanga, and you know, like the likes of those brothers. You know what I mean? Like what was you know, was that his? I know, like I said, I know Mondo X. I know Mondo X for writing writing those plus degrees. I would see his name on a lot of degrees. Like when I came in contact with a lot of degrees with his name on them.
Yeah, because like I said, he wrote them and they were running by a law, you know, to, you know, see if they was right and exact.
I remember God Supreme said that. He said that in the video that I did with him, you know, that you know, he asked the law about those degrees, and he said those degrees is right and exact.
I asked him about a law, world manifest and all that. He said those lessons at that time, he said they right and exact. I didn't write them though. He said Mondo X and Al Jamal written. He said, but y'all got to come down to the people. Y'all got to go back to the lessons I gave y'all. How could y'all understand? The people understand y'all all the way up there, all y'all saying y'all name our law and talking up there. Y'all got to come down to the people so that they can understand y'all.
But brothers had to come down from all that high science to...
Yeah, exactly, to communicate so we can start understanding each other's knowledge and wisdom. You know?
Get back to 120 lessons.
Right, so we all be on the same degree.
Right.
You know? What's the 13th degree and the 140?
Right, right.
They continue daily to teach the 85% that all they see and hear, such as rain, hail, snow, and earthquake, come from that mystery God that no one will ever be able to see until he dies. This is believed by the 85%. The 10% knows that when a man dies, he will never come back and tell the living whether they lied or not, because the dead have never been known to return from the grave. And all the history of Islam never revealed anyone coming back from a physical death, but there is a chance to return from a mental death because the lost found was once dead mentally and many of them recovered from it, but they were not physically dead, they were only mentally dead. And that's what it was for us to come back like that, you know, with the degree, you know? And that's how we got the understanding to acknowledging each other's wisdom, you know? But you listen to what the brother's saying. If he's saying what is right, you know, yeah, there ain't no motherfucking problem. There ain't no big deal, you know?
Yeah, because I was taught that 120 lessons is like is our oral tradition. So that was like a way of us communicating with each other. So I know, like when I walk amongst somebody, you know, and they say they got a flag on, or they saying that they God, and they, you know, they're a part of this culture, you know, I could see where they have, you know, taken their journey into 120 lessons. You know, I could see where they, what was their walk in these degrees, and I could show them what my walk was. You know, so I could see where that some brothers, you know, it'd be like a measurement where some brothers, you know, some fronting. They don't really know it.
Right.
Man, some do.
We learned this here, like growing up, man, how this shit go, man. When you meet somebody, then, you know, that you don't know, what you want to know. They name, they land, and they language. You know what I'm saying? What's your name? How you identify yourself? Where you from? And what's your degree? You know that degree? You know? That's how we build. You know, man, name, where he come from. You know what I'm saying? Because that's where he most likely going back, where he come from.
Right.
You know, in this language, that's how you know he be amongst. You know? But shit, if he be amongst the 85% and he was speaking the language.
Of the 85%.
Right. Then he ain't teaching them nothing. The civilized is held responsible for the uncivilized.
So I love these degrees, guys. And so, I run into a brother, I say I could, walk through the mind and see where he at, with these degrees, And they say, and then, in his language, you could see if he was teaching or not, or how much he actually is comfortable with the language. And sometimes you see brothers, they fall to as if, that's something that they not even used to saying until they come amongst you. Now they want to talk these, these words, and you can tell that they're not used to actually manifesting these words because they're not giving it up like that. The changes from the God cycles to the Bill cycles.
God cycle was some good years, man, because a lot of brothers was teaching, man. They was teaching how hard they was teaching for real, man. But a lot of brothers didn't even make it into the Bill cycles. And some brothers made it to the Bill cycles and they make it out. God. So, there's always a lot going on for us teachers, man, And we always strive to make sure that these teachings continue on. So, the people that desire this truth will always have an opportunity to receive it, That shit wasn't easy, but shit, we live and we learn, man, and I learned from Allah. Like He wanted us to get it so we could teach it. I wanted my young to get it, same way, That's how it's going down.
So what do you think? What did you have challenges? You had some challenges teaching your young, or because I know that everybody has their challenges, but
Man, that shit was good because all the young that they be around, they had to be responsible for them too,
So during the God cycle years, going into the Bill cycle, there was more of a community, so more of a support system.
Man, listen, everybody from the babies to the old folks knew the gods, Yeah. That's how it was. We talk, so prove beyond a shadow of a doubt, man. My aunt, she's build equality. She's down in North Carolina with, around my young and everything, you know what I'm saying? Man, it always be good. I talked to her the other day, she was telling me how my young came and took her to breakfast, and different things. Like, when she just moved into a place, because she had gave up all her stuff and moved to Georgia. She decided to come back, so she had to start all over. So they would take her, or go shopping, get all kind of stuff that she need for the crib,
Yeah, see.
Good history,
So that's a sign of a support system. That's something that I always build on about, our support system, and in our support system, we that's how we grow and develop amongst each other, still sharpen still, and we help add on with each other. Anything you need, if I got, I'm gonna contribute. You as my brother, I'm gonna do that for you. That's the family of the 5%. That's our culture. To do that. But I see a lot of times, like the guard Ramel, he said, he said something interesting. He's talking about the Bill ciphers. He said there was a crack in the continuity the continuity was crap. Meaning like brothers kind of went in different directions, and and like that support system wasn't as there. But see, you come from that time period where there was that support system, and you pass that on to your young and your young.
Yeah, we had to keep that shit going.
Yeah, but you have like a sense of importance to doing that, of keeping it going. Not everybody has that sense. Well, I don't think not everybody knows how to keep it going. I would say, the best thing is to continue to teach. Like continue daily. Like they continue daily, you gotta continue daily.
Yeah, God, you're gonna be living and you're gonna be learning.
You're gonna be living and learning.
Yeah, that's how it goes. A lot of things, wasn't just given to us. That we had to find out on our own.
What was the science, God, with power refinement? You know what I mean? Like why do you think there's such a big divide in that? Some say that law did say it. Some say the law didn't say it.
Well, the law said, time change, you must change. Else you gonna die. You know what I'm saying?
But there's a lot of brothers who just want to stick to the T of the word, right?
Because that's how they want to dance.
Yeah, God,
the law ain't just motherfucking hold our hand and guide us through no motherfucking thing. We let us freestyle.
So sometimes you gotta freestyle, sometimes you gotta do your thing.
Hey man, listen. I remember when I was young, we used to hustle, the Brooklyn hustle, the sisters and shit, dance, they turn them and shit. Sometimes they could break off and do their own motherfucking thing. As long as they stayed in step with, us, wasn't no fucking problem. You know what I'm saying, girl? You might spin them, they spin halfway and turn back around. You know what I'm saying? As long as they still in step with us, man, what's the fucking problem?
Yeah, some get out of step though. Some do get out of step.
That's the fucking problem.
That's the problem.
Yeah, that's the problem. If she could turn and do her stuff and still be in tune with your lead, what's the problem?
See, that's no problem. But when they get out of step, and I'm just using that as like allegorical to like, from the dancing to the actual teaching. You're teaching somebody and, they could be in step with you and then somewhere along the line to get out of step. You know what I'm saying? In step, out of step.
Yeah.
But it be like that sometimes, dog. But I like that what you say, God, you gotta, as you live, you learn, God. You learn,
Yeah, shit, we living and we learning, man, You don't just close off everything because of what you already know, That's why Allah says, time change, you must change. Else you gonna what?
die. Yeah, God, but that's a lesson, y'all. But see, here's the balance. It says, time change, you must change, and if you don't change, you're gonna die. However, then there's also the teaching of don't change your word of what I gave you, right? Don't switch it up so sometimes brothers get confused with that.
Yeah, man, what he said, that's what he said. You know what I'm saying? He ain't tell us to do what he do. You know what I'm saying? Like, the actions speak louder than words, so, all that shit doesn't want to talk, man. That shit is nothing in comparison to the action, you know what I'm saying? How the shit is lived. We're gonna teach, we're gonna keep the knowledge going on. That shit is hard to fake that shit, though.
It's hard to fake the teaching, right? It's hard to fake that.
Yeah, if you've been teaching, man, shit, then, you know, shit's gonna show and prove beyond a shadow of a doubt. Hey, God, I'm just striving to make it, man, you know? I'll keep on going, man, you know? And do better.
So now you going towards your God cipher years.
Yeah, my next birthday, I'll be God's life.
Your next degree day.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a lot of living, God.
Yeah.
You've been seeing some things.
Yeah, pretty much.
You know. I mean, is there anything you want to share with the young? Like, you know.
Hey, listen, if I could make 30 more after that, I'd be 100. You know? See how it go.
Yeah. I mean, how's it going so far, though?
So far, so good.
Right? Yeah, so you
I ain't complaining about shit. You know? Figuring out how to make it better.
Yeah, God, you know, one day at a time, oh God. You know,
Yeah, man. Shit, today was a good day. You know? And tomorrow gonna be good too.
Yeah, you predict your future in advance.
Exactly. You just gotta live it out to the way you predicted. You know?
That's a sign of like your word being born. Like, you know, just live out what you said, what you're gonna do. Do what you say.
Right. Do what you say.
Do what you say. Say what you do.
Yeah. Say what you mean and mean what you say. You know? It's not complicated. You know?
Right. Some of us make it complicated, you know. Well, you know, sometimes, you know, we do it to. Sometimes I myself am making it complicated and making it a little bit more interesting. You know, but you know, at the end of the day, like getting back to the basics is, you know, knowledge is the foundation.
Yeah, you know, as long as you got your desired results, right, you know, shit is good.
Say the things now. What would you improve? What would you say? What do you think is needed now?
Yeah, man, the teaching's gotta be like real tight, man, you know? I remember it used to be like that, man, you know? I mean, the teachings would be all over, you know what I'm saying? But, you know, now shit is like, it's rare, man. It's few and far between, man, you know? But it's spread out. So, you know, that's good too, man. Brothers all over doing shit, man. There's brothers in fucking Panama and shit like that, you know? With knowledge, you know what I'm saying? And fucking Jamaica, you know?
Europe, Japan,
Exactly. That's where I'm going.
Yeah. All over the world. We all over.
Right.
I've seen and heard everywhere.
With knowledge.
With knowledge.
You know?
Right.
And we ain't even like really come together, you know, with a lot of the people that got the knowledge. We're starting to, you know what I'm saying, as it's growing, you know, because everything still come back to the root. But man, there's just so much, man, we got to do. We just got to keep teaching, man. That's basically it, you know? I seen the brother that just returned to the essence.
King Yadi?
Exactly. King Asiatic. He did work.
He definitely did. My
did
brother.
Work.
He did work. He did.
Yeah, man.
Did. That's showing proving God don't die, because his works continues to,
Right.
you know what I mean, to live on.
That brother put it out there, man, you know? Love him for that, man, you know? My little brother, man, you know? Yeah, he's cool, man, you know? Because he definitely bigged us up, man, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
That's the duty of all of us, God. If somebody...
Exactly. That's what the fuck I'm saying.
Right. If all of us do that. We all gotta do that.
Yeah.
You know. See, somebody who I became close to, like right before he returned, was Father Divine, or Fakim.
Oh yeah.
And Fakim, like he was always somebody who was always giving it up. Always, you know what I'm saying? And then, you know, his history before I linked up with him, he taught whole entire project, whole entire neighborhood.
He did he taught Brookline, God, he lived in my fucking rest in Brownsville.
Right, yeah, see, that's what I want to ask you. Like, what was your relationship with Fakim? Because I know y'all have an extensive. You said you even going back to Bildersley, right? You and him?
Yeah, back in that damn time, he had King I Love Culture Seed. You know, back then, you know what I'm saying? One of them Italians and shit like that.
What was the circumstances behind that? Was like dealing with that like race situations?
Yeah, all that old bullshit, you know what I'm saying? And the God, he was like, you know, he wasn't having that shit. That shit got ironed out. He had killed some gangsters' sons. Yeah.
Some mob dudes.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So it got ironed out, huh?
Yeah.
Wow.
I ain't going nowhere. You know?
Yeah, he definitely left on his own accord. You know. Yeah, I mean, what year did you link up with him?
About 73, 4. I Freedom Born. He used to stay at my rest too. Back then. You know I Freedom Born, right?
I think I our freedom. Matter of fact, yeah, we was at the school together that time.
Right, yeah, definitely get him.
Yeah. Our freedom born. Yeah,
he been around. He got history. He came in Equality Born. You know, like him and Sabu came around the same time.
Okay.
You know, and they used to rest together. You know, back in the early days. You know. Matter of fact.
That's all, and y'all all got history in Medina.
Well, we had history in P-Long too, you know.
Oh, you got history in P1 as well?
Well, that's where I met I Freedom Born.
Oh, okay.
You know, Sabu was resting in P-Long on West Farms Road. And I gave him my address. I Freedom Born was resting with him. So he asked I Freedom Born, did he know where that was at? He said, I met a God over there, you know? You know where this is at? And he was like, hell yeah, I know. So they came to see me, you know? And we've been on since then.
Yeah, that's my man, our freedom born. Yeah, that's my man. Yeah, I definitely got a link with the God.
Yeah, we used to hang out with the Tomahawks was gang banging and shit, you know? We got Akbar.
Yeah, see, that was another history too. I think when Father Divine was educating Akbar, right?
Yeah, right. Well, you know, we educated
each other, everybody.
The gods,
man.
You be around the gods. It ain't like you just gonna listen to one person. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Father Divine taught him the lessons though.
Oh, he walking through 120.
Mouth to ear.
Yeah. You know, with that signs of like, you know, gangs, you know, the history of the guards, educating the gangs. You know, you saw that whole time period. You know what I mean? Like you said, the Tomahawks.
I remember the day it was over. It was a Sunday.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. It was a Sunday. They had a meeting in the movie house.
A meeting with who? Who was that with?
The Tomahawks, the guards was there. They told them that it's it. Y'all gotta get the knowledge and teach, you know? Enough of this bullshit.
And the Tomahawks their history was in Medina. Was that around the same time as like, well, that's a little bit after the Cross Park chaplains?
Oh yeah, that was after Cross Park chaplains, the beginning of the knowledge. You know what I'm saying? The Tomahawks, they came, you know, that was different, right, you know? That was after our law went.
Oh, the Tomahawks was right after the law went, okay.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So basically we see waves of different gangs come along throughout the timeline. and you know, that just tells us to continue to teach, right?
Yeah.
Because you said, like you said, the cross-part chaplains was in the beginning knowledge, but then they wound up getting the knowledge and becoming 5%ers, and then
Right, because they was all together as chaplains. So when they got the knowledge, they stayed together as 5%.
And then the Tomahawks later on, that was like the guard ciphers and whatnot, right? And the guards had to teach again.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
There's no getting around it, you know? We have a little young brother talking about, Cato, tell us, we gon', you saying, man, Cato, you don't need to tell y'all no shit, cause y'all gonna be fucked up. You gotta get the knowledge of yourself and build. So if you know the duty of a civilized person, and you could make it born, you know?
Duty of a civilized person. What is your degree? Do you have the duty of a civilized person is to teach he who is uncivilized or he who is savage?
He was a savage
Yeah.
civilization.
That's the degree. That's how I have it. Teach he who is a savage civilization, righteousness, and not himself and everything, signs of everything in life, love, peace, and happiness. Yeah, some brothers have, you know, the duty of the civilized to teach the uncivilized civilization.
Yeah, those guys all kind of shit twisted. I don't even have my lesson on paper. Ain't nowhere here.
Right.
But I know.
Well, you got them on your head, got them on cap.
Yeah.
Right, that's important, you know. And then and having them, I know that helps you through your daily walks.
Oh yeah. I ain't gotta stop. Man, shit, I done been in the tombs, man. And they ain't had no lessons and they ain't had no knowledge. Brothers was interested. So I tell them the knowledge so they can write it down.
Word of mouth. Yeah, that's important. Like importance of having your lessons on cap. So you just go anywhere. You don't have to have it on.
Exactly.
You know, our brothers, you know, without the paper, what do they have?
INFMEGA did this.